Welcome to Let's Talk. I'm Salley Gibney. My guest today is a musician, a composer, and also a member of the Steve Miller Band. Welcome, Joseph Wooten.
This song is for anybody that has to go through anything. This song is for the one that's not the champion, the one that has been trampled on, and maybe you don't have a home, and your name is unknown. You don't get enough publicity, or you're not the right ethnicity, and maybe you don't know your mother, or not as famous as your brother. This is what you got to do. See that no one means more than you, and even when you're fed up, you got to keep your head up and say that I am here, I am here, and I matter. This song is for the struggling single mother and the chemically addicted, the physically constricted and the wrongfully convicted. I can't say I know your pain, I won't say that I do, but behind even the darkest clouds, there's a sky that is blue and the sun shines too. The toughest pressure makes a diamond, and that diamond is you. So even when you're down and out, from the highest mountain you shout, I am here, I am here, and I matter, yeah. And I matter. You got to say that I matter. You got to know that I matter. I never could dance like Michael, can't sing like Stevie. Sometimes when I speak my truth, I swear that people don't believe me. I never could dunk a basketball, can't rap like Ludacris at all. And sometimes it's just me and my songs, just staring at an empty wall. But this is what I got to see that no one means more than me. And one day when my days are numbered, headed to my final slumber, I'll say that I was here, I was here, I was here, I was here. I'll say that I was here, I was here, and I matter. And you matter too.
Joseph, welcome. I am so thrilled that you were here.
I'm thrilled to be here.
That video is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I can't believe it's the I Matter, You Matter.
Well, I'm very happy with that video also, and just really surprised that there is somebody else on the same wavelength as me. I thought I Matter, You Matter was this concept that I had, and I had all kinds of dreams of what I want to do with it, and it's exciting to know that there is somebody else on the exact same page.
You Are Never Alone Foundation, and it was something that we've been doing for quite a while, and it's just amazing how we have gotten together.
Well, yeah, I remember going to my Facebook page like I do on the regular, and seeing a message from I don't know who about a
from Chris Haynes.
Okay, from a worldwide I Matter, You Matter day, and that still floors me.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
Tell me now, how did you come about writing the song?
Well, I was watching a movie called Freedom Writers.
I love that movie.
I love that movie too, and I was moved like most people are when they see that movie. And my ex-wife had a Chihuahua that needed to go outside, and I'm standing outside
with the Chihuahua.
With the Chihuahua, and in comes this song. I mean, really, really quickly. I write a lot of music, and normally music takes a bit longer to come to fruition, and this one was just writing itself really quickly. So the dog wasn't done yet. I picked him up and went inside and like quickly grabbed a pencil and scribbled out all 3 verses.
Really?
Like just, it wrote itself probably in 30 minutes.
Wow.
Just wrote it on the side of a manila folder, and I had it in. As a songwriter, you know when you have something special. And so that movie was kind of the impetus.
Yeah.
And then I had the song, and then I thought about the video, and
it's just, you know, it's so beautiful. I mean, the whole message is so beautiful. But when you said, "I'm here," you know, I think that just was so touching to me.
Well, it was to me too. It was to me also, and it just seemed like a message that was
so important.
So important for so many people.
It's universal.
Well, it really is. Yeah. I was talking to another friend of mine, and we were talking about poverty and that kind of thing, and the war on poverty. And I was telling him that the war on poverty really is more a war on hopelessness.
Yes, you're absolutely
because if a person in poverty sees a way out, then the poverty becomes the impetus for them to get out.
Right.
Like I'm a big sports fan. Boxers, you see it all the time. They come from nothing. They find out that they have a talent, and
it gives them hope.
Yes, their dire circumstances is the impetus for them to work harder because their talent is giving them hope.
Right.
But a lot of people don't have that hope.
Right.
So I wanted to write a song that talked to people that don't normally get talked to. If you're behind bars and you didn't do it, you normally don't get a song.
Yeah.
If you play for the championship and you don't win, you don't get a song.
Exactly.
Or if you're chemically addicted or physically constricted or all of those people that I named.
Yeah.
So I've always been about inclusiveness. Like I've always, as a child, I have brothers, and we always loved the Jackson 5. I have brothers that play music, and we were very similar to the Jackson 5. We always loved them, and we wanted to get as famous as they did, but I never wanted to get famous so that I could look like something that everybody else wasn't.
Right.
I wanted to get there so that I could show everybody else that they were there too.
Oh, right.
So I Matter, when I had this song, I realized that I had this this very good tool, this very good tool of inclusiveness.
Right.
And so when I went to my Facebook page and I see this worldwide I Matter, You Matter day, it was very exciting to see that that somebody else was on the same wavelength.
And it was great when you emailed us and said, please feel free to use this. And I just loved it.
Well, I wrote this, in fact, I didn't write the song to get rich off of it. I wrote the song to spread
Share
an
the
idea.
Yeah.
Right, it's a non-for-profit song. It really is.
Which is wonderful. I want you to tell us and tell our audience about you growing up, your family, your brothers and your mom and dad. Your mom must have been quite a woman.
Well, both my parents were, my mom especially. My dad fought in the Korean War, and after that, not long after that, he switched to the Air Force. So by the time me and my brothers came along, we were in the Air Force. And
so you traveled a bit.
we did. Now, there's 5 brothers. Well, 4 now. One passed away 5 years ago in July. In July, it'll be 5 years. But both my parents worked, and we weren't allowed to leave the house until they got home from work. So my 3 older brothers, at 3, 4, and 5 years older than me, when I was 5 and Victor was 2, my older 3 brothers, my oldest brother was playing the ukulele, next brother was
Now, where were you? Where were you?
This was in Hawaii.
Oh, okay. That's why the
we were
ukulele.
stationed in Hawaii. That's why the ukulele, kind of the school issued music instruments. So my oldest brother was a whiz on the ukulele. I mean, anything he heard, he can play it at the age of 10. My next brother everything was a drum. He was beating on everything, and he was a natural. And my middle brother played the recorder, later the saxophone. So my oldest brother, Reggie, at the age of 10, looked at 5-year-old me, 2-year-old Victor, said, if you do this and you do that, we can have a band.
Oh, really?
So at that age, you want to do what your older brothers do.
Well, of course.
So he was our first music teacher, and he showed us one note at a time. And
now, did he ever have lessons?
No, no, he was just a natural.
Just a natural.
He was just a natural, so he was our first music teacher, and I still thank him to this day. You know, I'll say, thank you for giving me a career. But so we started playing, giving little concerts in the yard. In 1968, we moved to California, and we started playing officers' clubs and nightclubs, and we were like, we opened for the group War. Why can't we be friends? We opened for them.
My goodness.
In 1970, Victor was 5 years old, just learned to write his name. He signed an autograph with the word that he just learned to write. And 2 years later, we opened for Curtis Mayfield a few times.
Goodness.
And my dad retired in '72. We moved to Virginia, and our talent took us some places. We got a record deal in the mid '80s. We signed to Arista Records at the same time they signed Whitney Houston.
Wow!
Used the same producer, same record company.
Unbelievable.
And but what I tell young people all the time, to learn from us, we were very talented, but we weren't very business smart. So we signed a record contract. Whitney signed a record contract, but hers was much better than ours. So
well, you didn't know what it was about. I mean,
we didn't know.
Yeah.
And everything happens for a reason. Had we gotten as talented as we wanted to, when we wanted to, I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Right.
So
everything does happen for
everything
a reason.
happens for a reason. I always say, if you like who you are, then you can't really sweat how you got there.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are your other brothers doing now?
All my brothers, except the one that passed away, obviously still make a living playing music. My oldest brother, Reggie, his real name is Elijah Reginald, but we call him Reggie. Still teaches, still has a bunch of students. And
Wow.
let's see, Roy, AKA Future Man, and my youngest brother Victor, who's a world-renowned bassist, Victor Wooten.
Yeah.
They both used to play in a popular jazz band called Bela Fleck and the Flecktones.
Oh, wow.
And they both won 5 Grammys apiece, so they're accomplished.
My goodness, yeah.
And every now and then we get a chance.
Do you get together and play? And
it's hard because we all have separate careers. I know that at some point we will, because we should. And each December I do a birthday/Christmas concert, because I have a December 15th
You're a
birthday.
Sagittarian, just like me.
I am. The best thing I like about my birthday, it's the same day as the First Amendment.
Oh.
December the 15th.
Really?
Yeah, First Amendment, the Bill of Rights. I love that. I always wished that I had Beethoven's birthday on the 16th. But I like the Bill of Rights. And
Well,
the
then
First
you
Amendment
wouldn't have been a Sagittarian, though.
Well,
Well, you would. You would have still, yeah, until the 22nd.
But I'm stepping away from your question. Each Christmas, each December, I do a Christmas/birthday concert. And as a feature on that concert, I always bring my brothers in. So that is kind of our one time a year
coming
where we
together.
absolutely get together and play. But we're talking about doing an album together. We haven't finalized it yet, but
that's neat. That's really
it
neat.
really is.
Tell me, I want to know a little bit more about your mother.
My mother, I'll tell you about my parents. Right? Well, I told you my dad was in the military. My mother, both my parents came from giant families. There was 14 on my dad's side. He was the youngest boy, and then there was 4 sisters younger than him. And then on my mother's side, she had 8 brothers, and she was the oldest of 5 sisters.
Oh, wow.
So both my parents, they saw that we had talent, and as parents should do, they just gave us an opportunity. My mother always believed in heaping praise on you if you did something well, because she knew that a kid whose praise will be self-propelled. So she let us do what we did, and we got better at it. And as we got better in the beginning, each Christmas our instruments got better.
Oh, really?
Our toy instruments, we got better toy instruments. Christmas. When we moved to California in '68, we were playing on better toys, and then my parents made the decision. They took my oldest brother to the music store. They took out a loan, and I'll never forget coming home, and just the living room was full of amplifiers, guitars, keyboards, basses, saxophones, cables all over the place. It was exciting. People heaped a bunch of praise on us because we were good. And that was never my mother's concern. She wasn't really concerned that we were good. As she would say, she wanted to make sure that we had a strong foundation. So she made sure that we were good people. Like she would say, I'm not so, somebody would say, aren't you proud of your kids because they're so talented? And she would say, I'm not proud of them because they're talented. They've been playing their whole lives. By now, they ought to be good at it. She said, but if somebody tells me that they helped somebody in some kind of way, or they were inspiring, or they're good people, she said, that makes me proud, because that's what I worked on. That's the part that
So that's what she instilled in you, the feeling that everyone matters.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I remember on more than one occasion, because my mother was very inspiring, and she'd be sitting like we're sitting here, and the 5 of us would be sitting like on our knees just listening to her speak, because she would talk about the things that her parents told her that were real inspiring. And as kids, you recognize when somebody's telling you something of substance. So I remember on more than one occasion, she would say that her dad would say to them, when you look in the mirror in the morning, you've seen the most important person you're going to see that day, but you're no better than anybody else.
Wow.
Which is a very valuable thing to tell.
What a message that is.
Yes, it's a very valuable thing to tell to young kids that are getting a bunch of praise, heaped on them at a young age, is that you're good, and you should be good, and you should stand for something.
And it's great that you're good.
Yes, but you're not better than everybody else.
Wow.
You're not better than everybody else.
You know, that's something that all of us should be told.
Well, it should. It should be.
It's an important message.
But that's the power of music. The power of music is, if the president says something, or any politician, they can say something that's exactly right. And even if it resonates, there's going to be somebody by design to say totally opposite, just to muddy the water. But if I write a song and you're moved by it, there's no rebuttal song. The game is over. If I move somebody, the game is over. That's the power of that's the power of music. And in my opinion, it's the highest calling of music. We're here to inspire. You're on a stage. A stage forces people to look up to you. A stage puts you literally and figuratively in your best light. And people come there
to be lifted up?
Well, yeah. I can't remember who said it, but entertainment. It's like entertainment. They're there for your entertainment, to bring them entertainment, and they look up to you for a minute to bring them something.
Yeah.
Because that's what artists do. We sort of go over there where everybody else isn't, and we bring it back for you to see it. And if an artist stands for something, if the power of good example and the power of music can change things for the better, but it takes somebody to embody it first.
Sure.
And that's
and
what I'm trying to do.
entertainment is such a gift. I think entertainers, because they can take us out of our lives, out of that moment. You know, they can take us away and give us hope.
Yes, very true. But it takes some vigilance, because when praise gets heaped upon you, it's easy for it to get good to you.
Oh yeah.
Right? And there are people, some people want to lift you up to a status where they can't get, because there's a connection.
Yeah.
There is a connection sometimes in somebody building you up more than you are. But it's powerful if that artist can take them there also.
Yeah.
Just a good example. My brother Victor and Roy, AKA Future Man, with the Flecktones, they played in cities all across the country. And in every city, they would stay after the show and sign every autograph and take every picture until everybody was gone. Like if I play with Victor now, we still do that. Sometimes the autograph signing is almost as long as the show. But what it does, it creates real connection that you can go back to and use again.
And look at it again, and it brings you back to that moment.
Right, and so as long, the artist that does that, as long as that artist stays around, those people will always be fans, because they have direct, they have a direct connection. And if that artist stands for something, then you can move people with that real connection.
Yeah.
It's easy for fame to get good to you. It gets good to you, and sometimes it's easy for you to kind of lose your way as an artist. You're in a room and it's not dark and you still got aviator glasses on. You know what I mean? It's easy. It's
so
easy
you have to be vigilant. You really
you
have
do.
to be vigilant.
You do. I think it's important. I think it's important for a person to be vigilant for their discipline, especially when people look up to you. I just had a chance yesterday to speak to
Tell us about that.
Yeah, yesterday I was in Virginia. I grew up in Newport News, Virginia, and lived there for 18 years, and all my brothers graduated from Denby High School in Newport News. So the choir there is led by an old classmate of mine, Lisa Powell, and she wanted me to come and try to inspire her students and give them a standard of excellence and that kind of thing. So I got a chance to come back yesterday to my high school and talk.
And how many students were there?
There was probably 75, somewhere between 75 and 100 students in the room. And I was able to give all of them your I Matter, You Matter coins. They really love those coins.
Oh, I'm so glad.
But at those, I wanted to show them how important it is for you to have some character. Because I told them that it was important for me to come back and talk to them, so hopefully when they're successful, they'll come back and talk to somebody else. But sometimes it takes a person, it takes the good example of somebody being the right kind of person to make it okay for somebody else to be the right kind of person. Somebody did it for us. Now we're trying to do it
for someone else.
For somebody else, and I think
it must have been very rewarding being back there.
It really was.
It was just deja vu.
And I've done it a couple of times.
Well, you go around. You've done this in other places around the country as well.
I have a manager that lives in Buffalo, New York, and she's a former educator. She taught for 37 years, I think it was, and she's still in the school system, just not actively. And she went to the school board and enables me to come and talk to students. Because Buffalo, there's a tough existence up there in Buffalo.
It is a tough
It's
place.
high in crime, high in poverty, and high in murder,
Wow.
and those things. And the product of that society comes into school, and of course, a kid who's in survival mode is probably not a great student.
Right, right.
And unfortunately, when you have a school full of kids in survival mode that aren't great students, rather than sending more resources there to give them more help, somehow the school board says, well, you're a failing school, and out go the resources.
Wow. And music is so important. Is that one of the things that is being cut in these schools?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
somehow the music programs wind up being the scapegoat for a quote unquote
and it's so
failing
important
school.
for the children.
Music is so important because when a child learns music, there's nothing negative they learn from it. What I say is, if a child learns mathematics, if they're expert at mathematics and science, there's a positive and a negative use of mathematics and science. I mean, it was mathematics and science that designed the atomic bomb.
Right.
We all also know there's great uses for mathematics and science. But music, there are no negative uses for music.
Yeah.
And music teaches everything we want a good citizen to be. Dedication, expertise, sticking to it,
yeah, which is
and
so
doing
important.
what you do to make the group better, not to make you stand out, but to make the group better. All those things we want kids to learn, we pull it out, and it's a shame.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important. And I think it's really neat that you do go to these schools, and I'm sure the impact. I saw in one of the videos you playing with the kids, and the kids were rapping, and it was it was really neat.
I enjoy the interaction, and it's very gratifying when you can see that you have impacted somebody positively.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't fix it all in one day.
No, but you can.
But just to know that you move somebody
a little bit
the right direction.
Yeah, that's great. I want to now. When did you start with the Steve Miller Band?
I joined the Steve Miller Band. It was 22 years to the day on Earth Day.
Wow.
My first Steve Miller Band gig was April 22nd, 1993.
Wow.
I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was doing a recording session. Happened to be recording for the right guy. He was a friend of Steve's and a co-writer of a couple of the greatest hits. So he knew that Steve had just lost a keyboard player and said, you'd be perfect for this gig. And he gave me Steve's mailing address, and I mailed in a cassette tape. That's how long ago it was. I mailed in a cassette tape, and I got the gig.
Wow.
And 22 years later, here I am.
Here you are. Now, what is your, I think I totally don't have any idea of kind of what is your schedule like, and I'm sure our viewers would like to know a little bit about how this all works. How long are you on the road, and how does that work?
Well, it can be anywhere between 40 and 60 dates a year. I'm probably gone 4 to 5 months out of the year.
Really?
Which is, it's a lot of travel, but it's also a lot of time home. So I get a chance to travel around the country, meet a lot of people, and
play your
and
keyboard.
do what I would probably be doing for free.
Yeah. It's great. Now, and how does it all work? I mean, you go from place to place.
Yeah, I've heard some people, like, I get the question a lot, is it tough to do that much travel? Isn't it hard? For me, the answer is no. And the reason is because when I'm home, it's more work than it is when I travel.
Everything's done for you.
Well, yes. If I'm home, if I have a gig when I'm home, then I go to my house and one by one I pull keyboards out and load it in the car and the chord box and the amplifier, and then I drive and then I unload it and then I play probably the 3 or 4 hour gig with a couple of breaks, and then I drive home. Which it's a full evening. When I'm home with the Steve Miller Band, the crew has done all the work.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
yeah, so the crew gets there early in the day, and they hang the lights and they hang the PA system and they set the stage up, and then we come in the middle of the day and we sound check, test, 1, 2, keep on rocking me, baby. We go eat. We do a show, maybe 90 minutes, maybe 80 minutes, and then I'm done for the night.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah,
somebody else is driving, somebody else is cooking,
doing all the work.
somebody else is moving the gear, and I love to play, so it's not hard.
And you have a great group of guys.
I do. We do.
Yeah.
We really have a great group of guys. I enjoy working with Steve. I like everybody in the crew. I like all the band members. We spend a lot of time together, so that's important.
I'll bet. So it's important that you do like each other. Yeah, that's so neat. That's so neat. I've always wondered about that, the traveling and the setting up. And
the traveling,
do you have a favorite song?
I always loved Fly Like an Eagle. That is my favorite Steve Miller song. And
can you give us a little bit of it?
Well, Fly Like an Eagle is, fly like an eagle to the sea. That song has a great organ work in there. I always love the organ playing. And
next time you come, we'll have to have a keyboard so you can play.
Next time, that's a promise. But it's always an honor for me to know that I am the keyboard player that gets to play that great organ part now. And then that's also my feature. I get a chance to do a big keyboard solo there. So it's the gig. I'm honored to be on that gig, and I constantly remind myself how much I'm honored to be there, because there's a lot of people more talented than me that don't get the chance. There's more talented people than there are slots for talented people.
Sure.
So I'm one of the fortunate ones. I try not to forget it. I try not to abuse it. I try not to be the musician with a pocket full of per diem, staying in the best hotel the city has to offer, that's complaining about the catering. Right. I mean, it's
and I'm sure you see that. I'm sure that does happen.
It happens sometimes. Again, it's easy to lose your way a little bit. It's easy to forget how privileged you are, because there have been some times where the catering has been less than tasty, but it shouldn't make you forget the privilege of the lifestyle. You know, I mean, you play in front of thousands of people and you go jump on the giant limousine, you know, and ride into the next city.
Sure.
It's a very
is that how you travel? That's very nice.
Well, I call it the giant limousine, a tour bus. But a tour bus it's just a big, luxurious place to be with somebody else that does all the long driving. We get on the bus, they've stocked it with our favorite food, and we go to the next city, and it's the best hotel that the city has to offer, and we get treated very well. But I just think that in life, happiness in life is not so much determined by what happens to you. It's determined by how you keep it in perspective or not.
Exactly.
I'm an analogy person, as you know by now. But if I say this is my hand, that's the truth. If I say this is my hand, it's the truth too. But now I'm bumping into people. Probably falling down the stairs, and I've lost my way based off of my proximity based off of me having it in perspective or not having it in perspective. It's just important, I think, always to remember how privileged you are and how many things have to go right even for you to have a bad day. There's still a lot of things that have to go right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now tell me a little bit about Victor. He has a camp.
Yes.
In Nashville?
My little brother, well, he's the only brother that's younger than me. So. But he has a music camp in Centerville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And they bring in students of all caliber and all instruments, and they come. It's a music/nature camp. So they learn about nature, and they learn about music, and they learn about how those two things are related.
Oh, isn't that
sensitivity to nature is akin to sensitivity in music, and they have exercise. Like I know of exercise, they put blindfolds on them and have them find things with the blindfolds on, just so you can use things other than your eyes. And then you take that sensitivity,
and feel
to your instrument, whatever it is.
Oh,
and it's a great camp. My mother used to love to go to those camps because the kids would come in, some of them really, really shy, and they would leave just blossoming. And there was nothing my mother loved more than watching a young person develop, and watching her kids help other young people develop.
Which is what she instilled in you from the beginning.
that was always her goal. She was never overly impressed by how good we were as musicians. She wanted us to be good at something.
Yeah, but be good people.
Yes, be good people. It's more important. It's more important who you are than it is what you do.
Now, what Joseph, do you see in the future for you?
Well, we're going to talk. You and I will talk about that some more today, about the things that we can do with I Matter, You Matter. But like a lot of musicians, I want to reach more people. You know, honestly, I'd like to make more money, to do more things. I'd like to change things for the better. I have a new CD out right now. Yes, it's called Soul of Freedom.
Oh.
And I should have had a CD.
You should have
Soul of Freedom.
You should have.
Yes.
Do you have one with you?
I do. I do have some CDs here. But I have just plans for my career.
Maybe we could put a little piece of that on the end of the video, the end of the show. That would be fun.
Yes, and I Matter is on that CD.
Oh, great.
But I have imatteryoumatter.com. But that's still amazing that we're on the same page. Yeah. But I have imatteryoumatter.com. I have ideas for that. I want to reach more people, and just have more people feel included. Give some people some ways out. Try to set a good example. Try to live with some more discipline. Try to be a good example to my two young, well, they're 20 and 23 now.
Oh, two boys?
I have two boys.
Oh.
Yeah, Jesse and Justice. They're 20 and 23. Jesse plays drums on my CD. He's a very good drummer, also plays guitar and bass. My younger son, Justice, is 20 years old. He was the 2013, 2012 300-meter hurdle champion for the state of Tennessee when he was in high school.
Oh, neat.
So he's very talented, but has no desire to be a musician.
Really?
Which is just fine. And they're both doing well. He's selling insurance now.
Oh, is he? Good.
Yes. So they're both my young ones are just fine young men.
Yeah, oh, that's
and
neat.
They're not in trouble. They don't cause me any trouble, and
it makes you proud.
I'm very proud of them.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Now, I wonder, were your mother and father, were they musically talented?
My dad had a good voice. My dad had a good voice, and on both sides of the family, there were musician siblings.
Oh, all right.
On my dad's side, they were more singers. On my mother's side of the family, they played a lot of instruments, and here we come along and did both. My parents could have done it had they had the same opportunity, but they came up at a different time. They didn't have the opportunity that we had, but they certainly gave it to us.
Yeah.
Both my parents were very soulful, though.
Were they?
So that was very useful for us. Sunday mornings, wake up, and my mother always loved to play music on the morning, and I can remember oftentimes a lot of Mahalia Jackson playing on the radio, on the stereo on Sunday mornings, and Nina Simone, and my dad liked the vocal groups, Backfield in Motion, and all of those. So as kids, as kids we had lots of quality music to listen to, and we were fortunately born with good ears, so we started imitating it.
I just can't believe that your brother taught all of you, and he never had a lesson himself.
It's pretty amazing when you think about just trying to get your 10-year-old to do what you want him to do. And then he was 10 and teaching us to play. And he was a good teacher. He was a good teacher. My mother used to leave him in charge.
Okay.
Because there were 5 of us. And she said, Reggie's in charge. And said, if you have a problem with him, don't get on him. Come to me when I get home. But he's in charge, and he was very good at it. So we looked up to him. He taught us to play well. And
I think that I can't get over that.
It's pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
As we when we got older, we got formal instruction. But by the time we got formal instruction, we already knew how to play. But to learn to read music and write music.
Was it difficult having him teach you and then getting formal instruction? I mean, did you have to unlearn something to relearn?
Not really. It did take the right teacher, though. It did take getting the right teachers, because he always worked with what you did naturally and expounded from there. And some teachers just want to start you from the beginning, no matter what.
Right.
So I remember having a classical lesson, and the teacher was starting me off with these simple A minor scales, and I'm thinking to myself, I was just in the nightclub last night taking a solo in A minor. Why am I starting back at the beginning? And so later on, when my three brothers went to college, I was still in high school. Victor was in middle school, but we had a chance to study with the college instructors. So I always loved playing fast, and a lot of the instructors would try to slow me down. But in the college, that instructor said, well, keep going, don't stop. And he made me realize that I didn't know enough fast stuff. So those particular instructors were expanding what I had rather than trying to shape it into what they wanted. So the main instructor that I want to remember, Spike Lee has jazz musicians, aunts and uncles. And his aunt Consuela used to teach at Norfolk State University. So I got some instruction from her.
Oh, wow.
Some excellent jazz instruction that I've been able to share with a lot of young musicians. But that's a lot of where I got my jazz playing from. Oh, neat. Consuela Lee.
It's quite a history. I mean, you have quite a story.
There's a lot to tell.
Yeah.
But I'm 53. I started playing when I was 5. 48 years later, there's plenty to tell.
Absolutely. I just wonder, we'll be winding down. I'm just wondering, what would you like to tell? Or what do you tell young people?
What do I tell young people? That it's more important who you are than what you do. I tell young people to always be at your best, because don't turn your excellence on and off. Always be at your best, because I tell them also that what they don't realize is that a lot of benevolent people look at young people to see who they're going to help down the line, and they look at who you are today. And you don't realize oftentimes when you're at your worst that you've gotten in your own way. The same way you don't realize that when you're at your best, you've helped yourself. I tell them that it's as important to be smart as it is to be talented. And if you're talented, make sure you're smart. Make sure you're smart, because oftentimes people will see your talent and see how much potential money there is to be made. And if you're naive, they'll excite you with how much money there is to be made, and you'll think that that money is going to be yours. Like with me and my brothers, there was plenty of money made.
But it wasn't yours.
We didn't get it.
Yeah.
And we can't really complain about it, because somewhere there's a contract with my name on it.
Right.
Right? Because I got smart late. So I say, learn from me and know that
read the fine print.
Yes, it's as important to be smart as it is to be talented. And I tell them that it matters who you are, because if you're the wrong kind of person, it can get in the way of your talent. There's a lot of talented people, and if you're talented and hard to get along with, the employer or the person in charge will just get rid of the person who's hard to get along with.
There's always someone else.
Yes.
Yeah, there's someone else right behind you.
It's more important who you are than what you do.
I like that. I like that. Well, I know you've touched many, many lives, and I know you continue to do that, and I know it's going to be huge.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, for me, my goal is more connection. Is more connection, more opportunity.
Caring connections.
Yes, caring connections. Yeah. It's important for people to have hope. If you have hope, then poverty is your impetus for more effort.
Yeah.
But if you don't have hope, then poverty is just a weight.
Absolutely. And you know, there are people who even have quite a bit, and young people who have quite a bit, who have no hope.
That's right.
You know, it isn't just those without. There are many other youngsters and people of all ages.
Yes, I mean,
who don't have hope.
The issue of hope, or the issue of inclusiveness, is not always economic. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. There are people who are very affluent that still feel very alone.
Exactly.
So it's when you have the privilege of stature. I have the privilege of some stature. I'm not the most famous, but I have the privilege of I have a lot of privileges as a musician.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to make the best of it. Everything happens for something. I've been given a lot for something. And I'm just trying to make the best of it.
And that's great.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. This has been wonderful. We'll do this again.
We absolutely.
Absolutely. And for all of you out there, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. And take another listen to Joseph's song, and remember that each one of us does matter. So until next time, keep talking. Bye-bye.
You know it won't be easy or simple as a nursery rhyme, but today's the day, and now's the time. Everybody's searching for a hero, someone that they can trust. I've got news for you, that the hero is us. I can feel the soul of freedom.